Hey guys and gals, hope everyone's doing well. So you can see from the car behind me that I have disassembled that something is about to go down here. So I do have a separate video that I'm going to put up just showing how to take off the bumper. But this is going to be more focused on a couple of mods that I'm really excited about. Number one is I am upgrading the stock diverter valves, which are made of plastic and are known to be prone to failure, to these Flat 6 Motorsports. These are aluminum, T6061 aluminum. These are real heavy duty, robust diverter valves intended to replace the cheap plastic factory ones that are prone to failure. And then also I am going to be installing these Soul Sport Cats. I know that this is a very popular upgrade and modification, and I was able to score quite a good deal on these from the Facebook Marketplace. I mean, really unbelievable deal. And then I reached out to Soul, and they were nice enough to send me this kit, which includes all the mounting hardware, a rag, a couple of decals. They sent that to me at absolutely no charge, so I want to thank those people at Soul that did that for me. Much appreciated. And anyway, so here we are, and I guess it's a little bit fortuitous that I have to do both of these, or that I want to do both of these, because if I were only going to do the diverter valves, what I would probably have to end up doing is disassembling even more of this back end, the same way you would as if you were going to change the air filter, just to get to this inlet pipe here, because I would have to remove this inlet pipe, and as well as this whole cage and some other stuff, just to get to the diverter valve so that I can put these in. But since I have to do the Sport Cats, it actually creates an opportunity for me. And let me explain. So the diverter valve is right back there. If you can see this, it's right back there, resting up against the heat shield. If you could see that in there, great. If you can't, you'll see it later on in the video. It's really hard to get to, except if you're going to be removing the exhaust. Because if you're removing the exhaust, which here you have your turbo, this is where the catalytic converter begins. If you're removing the exhaust from the cat back, which is what I'm going to be doing to install the Sport Cats, which are in there, once I remove this exhaust system from everything behind the turbos, or from the turbos to the back, it'll open up some access to the diverter valves, I think, which will make it easy to do without removing this whole back end, which is what you would normally have to do, and it's a real pain. So I have to say that I did not figure this out on my own. I'm fortunate that one of my very close friends offered me this kind of process order as a tip to being able to do this a little bit easier. So thank you, Ray, for that. And Ray knows who he is. Much appreciated. And anyway, so I guess this is probably going to be a multi-part video. I'm not sure how we're going to do this, because I do want to give adequate explanation on the installation for these diverter valves, as well as the Sport Cats. Fortunately, there's some great videos already out there on the interwebs showing how to do these. So hopefully my video is just going to supplement the information that's already out there for somebody like me who's interested in doing any of these modifications to their vehicle. But you know, from what I'm seeing out there, these should be fairly straightforward. All right, so we're going to start out by removing the exhaust, and we're going to remove it from the catalytic converters on back. So to remove the catalytic converters, we're going to have to detach them, as you can see over here, from the turbos. But there are two oxygen sensors, a pre and a post oxygen sensor, or I don't know if that's what you call it, but there's one at the entry to the catalytic and then one at the exit. And you can see, you can kind of see them in here. This one right there, that's the exit oxygen sensor, and then the other one a little further back there is the entry one. And it does require a special socket, which I have, but in order to get to those and not be completely contorted, I'll be removing the heat shield, which is, there's a couple of bolts right there, one right there, there's another one, I believe a little higher, I can't see it from my angle right now, but it's there, and I believe there might even be one more screw, and that will require a T30. Where is it? Oh, here we go. That'll require a T30. I already checked that, and we'll be removing that on both sides. So that's going to be the step one, is removing that heat shield. Step two will be removing the oxygen sensors, and then after we remove the oxygen sensors, we could start trying to remove the nuts and bolts connecting the catalytic converter to the turbo. One other thing is, I'm probably going to have to soak some of those nuts in PB Blaster to loosen them, because I'm told that they can be quite difficult to take off. So that is one more step I'll have to do. So stay tuned and we'll be back shortly. All right, so it's a day later and I still don't have that heat shield off in order to get to the oxygen sensors so that I can remove those to remove the exhaust. Turns out there are a couple of screws on that heat shield that are nearly impossible to get to if you don't have the right tools. So there's two screws right here, one there and one right there where my thumb is. Those were easy to get to. But then there was another screw right back there where my finger is tapping, and I did not have the right tool for it. And then there's yet another screw right back there, if you could see where my finger's pointing. I don't know if the camera is gonna focus, but there's another torque screw back in there, and it's hard for me to tell if you can see it. But anyways, so I didn't have the right tool, but I ordered one of these on Amazon. This is, I guess you can call this like a mini ratchet or a finger ratchet or maybe a palm ratchet. But I needed to order this tiny little ratchet to get to the one back here. And fortunately, I was able to get it. So I have the 3 screws here. But then there's that fourth one back there, that one, I mean, how in the world do you get to that? Well, I think this is gonna be the answer. A couple different extensions. This one here that's kind of wobbly, I think I'm gonna be able to get to it. And if so, I'll let you know on the next video segment. But fortunately, I had this little flexible extension that I could attach to this other extension. But I don't know if I would have been able to do it unless I had some sort of a wobbly extension. Anyways, stay tuned, more to come. Okay, well, I did it. I finally got this heat shield off that goes around the OEM cat. There were the 4 screws. There was one here, one here, one here, and then this one here, which I didn't think I was going to be able to get to. But turns out these are the tools that I used. So just take note. You know, I'm sure there are other variations of extensions that you could use, but essentially I ended up needing to do like a double wobbly thing here. Well, no, just a single wobbly attached to a ratchet. But this here was adequate enough to get me, I don't know if I can actually demo. Let me see. So basically I had this ratchet in there like this, and I don't know if you can actually see, but you know, if in there like that, I was able to get to that last screw on the very back here. So anyways, just so that you know, it can be done. No broken bones or skin knuckles, but definitely that was a bit of a challenge. So stay tuned, more to come. Okay, I'm on the driver's side, I'm sorry, the passenger side now, and I got the passenger side heat shield out. This one is 4 screws also. I did have a couple of heart attacks getting this one out. The main reason is when I was trying to get out the back screw, the one that required the wobbly on the other side. This one, it didn't require the wobbly, but it looks like I may have inadvertently stripped the screw with, probably because I didn't have the bit seated in there very well. I don't think this is, this may have been the one, I'm not sure. Anyways, I couldn't get this thing to turn. So I ended up, at the recommendation of my buddy, who has been super helpful, he recommended that I switch bits, which I did, but this one was not magnetized, so I had to tape it on to a double long extension here. And I PB blasted it. I PB blasted the screw. I had to actually use a paintbrush and poured some PB blaster in this thing. I don't know if you could even see what I'm showing you here, but anyways, so I had to PB blast the heck out of that thing. I used this thing. I put it, you know, I try to set this into the screw, and then I used a hammer on the back end and was tapping it and just doing that for a while. Eventually the screw broke loose, and you know, I'm just relieved. But I will say that, you know, you'll probably want to use like a long skinny extension to get to that back screw all the way back here. And just be patient. Don't do what I did, which is, you know, start turning a screw before you are sure that the bit is seated properly into the screw. You could save yourself a couple of heart attacks there. You know, have some PB blaster handy. You'll definitely want that. Have an assortment of extensions, and you know, if your PB blaster straw is not long enough, you know, this turned out to be a pretty good idea, having a little paintbrush and just spraying some in there. But anyways, got it out. It sure was a challenge to get this one out, but then again, so was the other side. I guess everything's a challenge when you're doing it for the first time. So I've gone ahead and started PB blasting the O2 sensors. I hear those are very difficult to pop out. I did the PB blaster on this side and on the other side. I also started PB blasting the nuts, the bolts that connect the OEM cat to the turbo. So you can see that's why it looks a little bit wet there. I did that on both sides. All right, we're back after finally removing those heat shields. You could see there, as you saw, those were a real bear to get out. You know, if you've never seen or done this before, you know, plan for it to take a little while. Definitely want to make sure you have the right tools. Again, you want to have one of these finger ratchets and some wobbly extensions like this. You'll figure out what you need, but definitely don't go into that empty-handed. So next is removing the oxygen sensors. Now, I'm going to try to get the camera up in there to show you these oxygen sensors, but basically, there you have them. There's two. This is the driver's side. There's, you know, one in the front, or one in the back here, and then another one up front there. It's got the blue hose. Both of those need to be removed, and as you can see, it's a very tight space, and you're going to need a couple of special tools. One of them is this O2 this O2 sensor socket. It is a 22 millimeter. And the other is a flex head ratchet. You'll need this to get the right angle on there and to have the leverage that you need to loosen those O2 sensors. You have the same thing on the other side here as well. You're going to have two O2 sensors, one coming straight from the turbo, and then one after, so one going into the cat and one going out of the cat. And again, you'll need these special tools to remove them. You'll also probably want to soak it in PB Blaster, soak the threads of those O2 sensors, which I plan to do. So that's going to be the next step. Stay tuned, more to come. All right, so the first sensor that I was able to get loosened was this one here. And I used this thing. I put it up around that right rear sensor, put it around it, attached this thing to it, and just kept tugging on it until eventually it broke loose. Keep in mind that I had sprayed this on it a couple of times and let it sit for a while, so that probably helped. Now I've got to get the next guy, which is back there. Let's see if I can see it. It's right there. That guy's got to come out, and then we'll do the same thing on this other side. But these things are proving to be quite tricky to get out. There he is. Anyways, I'm just backing out here for perspective so you can see where I'm coming in and out of. Stay tuned. We'll be back for more. Okay, I'm back. I attached the ratchet there, just for perspective, coming in from the right rear wheel well. Have the ratchet with the flexible top there attached to the sensor socket, and I'm just going to keep giving it some pushes. I'm not going to do this on camera because I want to make sure I'm careful not to bang into one of these things if it comes loose. So just want to use some carefully measured elbow grease to get that one off. I may have to come around maybe from the front side or from the other side with the ratchet to loosen it, but I'm going to keep trying from here a little bit. Alright, I gave up on that front sensor on the right rear, or on the right front side of the cat, and I came over to the left side and I found a position to get this thing to work. So I've got the ratchet here. I just loosened it, but I wanted to just show this was the way I got it. So that's what worked. I'm gonna go ahead and undo that by hand, and then I got to figure out how to get the front one over there and the front one over there. Still got to figure those two out, but I think it's just a matter of time, you know, nudging it, putting some PB Blaster, and just keep on trying. All right, for the left side front oxygen sensor, this looks like the best way to get to it, which is have the ratchet right coming in underneath there, and it's kind of hard to see with the shadow of the light, but let me see if I can get the light up. Oh, there we go. You can see where I have the ratchet connected. And then what I'm gonna do, let's see if I can just get that to stay. I'm gonna give this a turn to the right, which is loosening that socket. Even though you think righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, it's really turning it right this way is turning it counterclockwise. So give it like I do this, and then eventually it just breaks loose. Maybe spray a little more PB Blaster on it. And no sooner than I turned off the camera, I got it loose, just like that. And that's it. Then the rest I'll do by hand. I'll just take off that socket and unscrew the sensor out. All right, and that was it. From this angle, this is where you want to get it, on the right rear side. You want to get the ratchet in from this side, and it eventually got loose. I'm going to go ahead and remove the ratchet and just undo the rest by hand, because that's, once you get it cracked, that's just the best way to remove it. And also what I'm doing is, I don't know if you could see it in there, but as I remove the O2 sensors, I wrap the ends of them in paper towel and just kind of tuck them away so that they don't get contaminated or anything like that. Anyways, stay tuned for more. All right, so now that I've got all 4 sensors removed, the next step is to remove the bolts that are connecting the stock catalytic converters to the turbos. There's 4 of them, and those are going to require a 12mm wrench. So I will be doing that. I'm sure I'm going to encounter some sort of a problem, but until then, I'm just going to get started. All right, I'm loosening the last of the 4 nuts that are holding the cats to the turbos. There's the 4 from here. 1, 2, 3, and the last one, this one over here was pretty hard. Let's see. This one here was a little tricky to get to. Not that it was tricky to get to, but it was seized on. And also, the 4 over here, finally got those out. You had 1 back here, 1 up there, and then 2 in the back side here. Now, I'll tell you what you want to have if you want to have a 12mm wrench. This one of these right here. This comes in very handy. For a couple of them, I used this I took off of my hydraulic floor jack, and I used it for leverage on this thing to get a couple of these things off. Definitely you're going to want to use PB Blaster, but those 4 screws came out, and the 4 over there came out, so we're good. Next, start loosening some of this other stuff, these straps that hold the muffler to the body. But I think I'm going to call for some backup on this, because I understand this thing is pretty heavy when it comes down, and I don't want to be doing this on my own, or at least I'm not planning on it. Anyways, see you soon. All right, coming in underneath the car here, the bolts have all been removed, and now the next step is to remove the vacuum hose from the sport exhaust valve. Those vacuum hoses are located right here. This is the vacuum hose, one on the right, and can't see too well here. There's a, oh, it's because it's over here. There's the valve, and it's on top. Now, I don't know, I mean, the instructions just show the guy like using a screwdriver or something, but you can't really see up there. I think from what I've read, you could just pull these things out. So I'm gonna give that a try. If I can't just pull it out, I may use a plier to gently lift it out. And then if not, I will try to figure out something else. Stay tuned. All right, so this tool came in very handy. Right up there is that valve and the hose, and you just wedge this screwdriver, the flat end of it, at the base of the hose, and you just pry it up, and it lifts right out. It was a little tricky to get to, but certainly not the trickiest thing I've had to do so far. So that one wasn't so bad. That's the right side one. Now I got to figure out the left side one. The left side one looks a little bit harder to reach, but we're going to give it a try anyway, because I have to. And shockingly, the left one was actually even easier to get out. So definitely you want a small screwdriver about this big, you know, just like a maybe 4 inches long. But you could see there it is right there. That's the hose, and I just was able to basically just pry it up like that. I don't know if you can see that, but just pried it up from the top of the valve. All right, on today's episode of Ghetto Garage, I've set this up. I've got these 2 plastic totes, this rolling garage creeper chair, and a piece of plywood. And it, you know, it really seems like it's just a great height for what I want to do. That piece of plywood comes up, you know, within about an inch and a half of the OEM cats. And so I think that if I start to pull it off, it's not going to have much place to fall. So anyways, might give this a try. Stay tuned. All right, well, I didn't realize there was one stubborn nut that I don't know why I thought I had taken out, but I didn't. And for that reason, I was unable to pull this whole exhaust assembly off. And that one stubborn nut, let me see if I could show you where it was. It's the one way up top in there. And you can see, let me try to angle. You could see right there where I have the wrench on it. I wasn't able to turn that nut anymore. It was, I had reached, you know, all I could do with that wrench. Every time I tried to turn it, it would, no matter how much force I used, it just would not budge. My hand kept slipping, so I rigged this contraption, and believe it or not, it worked. And so I just wanted to film what I did here because maybe something like this might come in handy for somebody. I don't know, but it was a weird idea, but it certainly worked. Set up the jack with the mallet, put it up against the wrench, and I would hold with this. I would hold up here with my left hand, and I would turn this part here with my right, and little by little it pushed up on the wrench, and I felt it start to turn. I was just amazed. So anyways, that's the last nut that will be coming out, and then this thing will be ready to pull this whole assembly back here. So stay tuned, more to come. And there she is, completely removed. You can see the gasket there just hanging off of one of the bolts. Same on the other side there. But I would say that we have just gotten to the probably the final part of the disassembly here. Okay, we're back, and we are looking at the OEM configuration of the cats with the muffler. And in order to remove these cats on both sides, you're going to have to loosen a few nuts here. These are, let's see, what do we have? We have, this is a 5/8 inch here, and these are 1/2 inch over here, and here's your 5/8 inch here and your 1/2 inch there. So once those are loosened and removed, which I have already done, and a little PB blaster always comes in handy, I'm just gonna make sure they're adequately loosened, and then I'm going to bang this off on both sides to get the old cats off, and then we're gonna put the new cats on. So stay tuned, more to come. All right, well, I'm happy to report that only a couple minutes with the rubber mallet here, and after having sprayed some PB blaster inside around where the catalytics go into the muffler, these things kind of slid right out. I mean, it did take a few good whacks, but they did come out. And we'll do a little side-by-side of the old cats with the new sport cats next. All right, so here we have the new parts beside the old parts. And you can see that the Soul Sport cats are a bit smaller than the OEM cats. But I'll be honest with you, the weight savings, I mean, it's there. I could probably just put them on a scale, but it's not like huge. So anyways, obviously like the weight savings is not the main reason you go with these cats. But anyways, I'm going to be preparing to slip them onto the exhaust. I'll leave them on loosely until I am able to get everything situated back onto the car, and then I'll start tightening it back up once everything is properly in position. And I'm pretty sure there's going to be a couple of other steps. For instance, I bought this, what is this? Ultra copper gasket maker. Interesting. Well, this was recommended in the instructions for the Soul Sport cats, so that's what we're going to be using. And I also picked up some new gaskets, and I know I didn't need to do this, but I bought a pair of new gaskets because I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to use the old gaskets when I was originally setting out to do this. Then I found out you can reuse them, but I already paid for these, so I might as well just go ahead and use them. But that's it. Anyways, stay tuned, more to come. All right, guys and gals, we are rounding third base here on the installation of the new Soul Sport cats. I've gone ahead and attached them to the muffler, not tightly. I didn't tighten the clamps down too tight because that'll be the last step I do once everything is positioned and adjusted into place. One of the things I did do was I put copper anti-seize on all of the nuts and bolts that connect the clamps and the sport cats to the muffler, and I also put a little bit of copper anti-seize on the one stud that's coming out of the flange on the turbo side here, as well as on this side here. I don't ever want to have to go through the trouble that I went through to get some of these nuts off of those studs. And I think we're pretty much ready to go ahead and mate this. The only problem that I have is I'm a little concerned about the weight. I wasn't concerned the first time when I was taking it off because I really didn't expect it to weigh so much. But now I'm thinking that in order to guide this in properly, I might need a hand of somebody, but we'll see. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna see what I can do down here on my own, and then who knows? Maybe I'll get this whole thing put in by myself. I do know that I will be. Well, I think I mentioned already earlier that I need to use this copper gasket sealer stuff on the new gaskets that I'm going to be putting on. And I do have the new nuts and bolts that Soul provided for me in this bag right here. So I will be using these. And that's about it. So stay tuned and more to come. All right, guys and gals. So I gave this thing a really close look yesterday, and I decided that it would be best if I had the assistance of a friend or helping hand to get this exhaust here lined up and positioned properly, carefully onto the turbo flanges. So I got a friend who's coming over. It's early in the morning on a Sunday, and he's going to give me a hand with that. And I think it's just the best, safest way to do this. I tried to match it up, raise it up using those boxes and the creeper chair, and there was really not a good, easy way for me to make it line up well. So getting some help, and I think that's probably the best thing to do. So stay tuned, more to come. All right, so my buddy Glad is here, and we're gonna do this video in time lapse because this is probably gonna be a long video and with a lot of cursing. So stay tuned. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so just very fortuitous that my friend knows a hell of a lot more about this kind of stuff than I do, because he's pretty much kind of commandeered my work here to do it correctly, instead of watching me do it incorrectly. But he's helped me get this stuff up and positioned, and we're just kind of getting the bolts and the nuts on the flanges secured before we start tightening too much. But anyway, so here we are. We're gonna continue on here and back to time lapse. So big thanks to my buddy Glad here, who helped me get everything nicely secured. We had a little bit of a hard time lining up the bolts on the passenger side, but eventually, with just some some jiggling and some elbow grease and all that kind of stuff, we were able to get it into place. Now all that's left to do is for me to just start tightening up all these bolts, and just make sure everything is secure and level and all that. So I'm going to take my time doing that, but you can see we put all the bolts in on the cat side on both sides. Of course, washers on both sides and the copper nuts on this side. Everything looks really good. So looking forward to getting this thing tightened up. And then next step is going to be putting on the O2 sensors, then replacing the other heat shields, and that was a lot of fun with the OEM cats. And then we'll crank this baby up and see how it sounds. All right, see y'all later. All right, guys and gals, it's the moment of truth. I've gone through, checked everything twice, tightened everything up, made sure everything was level. Everything seems as good as can be. I'd like to just start the car like this and just pray that I don't get any check engine lights. And I don't know what will happen if I start the car without the bumper attached and all these other things, if I'm going to get any kind of like warnings or anything. But anyways, yeah, it's the moment of truth. Here we go. Go out of gear. Everyone pray here. Wow, that was such a relief. So you may have noticed there was a little bit of smoke that was coming out from around this area, and the smoke that you could see, that was just some of the copper gasket seal that was kind of burning off as it was getting hot, but that just kind of began to dissipate after a minute or two. But everything seems to be working perfectly. So now back to putting on the heat shields, which, you know, that was really a challenge to take off, but now with these smaller cats, it should be quite a bit easier to put on. Plus, you know, I have the tools ready and I already know what to expect. So I'm not going to do a video of me putting it back together, maybe a time lapse, but not anything in depth. And can't wait to get this thing put back together. I was going to do the air oil separator now, but I'm just too anxious to get the car on the road and really see what this is like. And then another day I'll set up the air oil separator and make a video about that, so stay tuned for that. Anyways, I don't know if this is the last of this video, but if you like this video, you better like it. I mean, hit the like button and comment and subscribe and tell me what you think. And tell me if you would never do this. I don't recommend this. I don't recommend, if you're not confident in your ability to do this, don't do it. I will say that I was borderline with the confidence thing. And, you know, I'm fortunate enough that I have a couple of friends that I can phone and call and get some help. And as you saw, I did. And that was needed. You know, this is not something that's for the faint of heart, nor is it easy. But I'm a novice do-it-yourselfer, and I did it. And really, if I did it, I mean, you know, you could do it. You got to have the right tools. You have to be patient. You don't want to be in a rush. You know, you go into it knowing that you're going to hit some bumps in the road, some challenges, and take your time. Be careful. Be intentional with what you're doing. Don't rush, and it's going to come out. It's going to come out good. But I would say if you can, have a helping hand there beside you for certain parts. You don't need a helping hand for all of it, but definitely I recommend it for the removal of the exhaust system and then the putting it back on. Because even though I was able to take it off on my own, it was helpful. It would have been helpful to have somebody to take it off, as well as definitely for putting it back on. Anyways, that's it. Maybe one more video to show the finished product, but thanks for watching, everyone. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll look forward to seeing you on the next one. Take care, everyone. Hey guys and gals, so it's been about a week since I installed these Soul Sport cats along with the Flat 6 Motorsports turbo diverter valves, which there's another video up already on the channel, so you can check that one out when you get a chance. But I gotta say, these Soul Sport cats have really transformed the personality of this car. It's really quite remarkable what a difference it makes. Now, from a horsepower perspective, you know, for me, it's been imperceptible so far, only because I just haven't had a chance to really drive the car hard enough to tell if there's a difference, and probably might not even be able to really tell the difference unless it's on a dyno. So from a sound perspective, though, it really changes the way this car sounds, and the personality of the car, and just the feel of driving it with the different exhaust settings, whether you're in just sport exhaust mode or you have the sport mode on the Sport Chrono, where it just really accentuates the crackles and pops. It's hard to describe in words other than in the word that my YouTube friend Vlad uses also, and that is intoxicating. It's just a beautiful note that is produced by the exhaust of this vehicle. So the other thing that you can hear, and you may hear it also, is the sound of the turbo spooling. So I'm going to try to do some runs, and you'll be able to hopefully hear that. It's a little hard though through the microphone of a GoPro, but you know, I guess the only way to know is to just take this car for a little drive. So here we go. All right, here we go. could actually hear those pops and crackles coming out of the exhaust, but it's a lot more pronounced than in the OEM configuration. It's really quite remarkable, the difference. And away we go. Pure joy. The sound of the engine on that acceleration, just a totally different car with these new cats, can't tell you. Anyways, I think I may have one more little run here under a tunnel that we might get some sound, so sit tight for a moment. Alright, here comes one more little tunnel bridge that I'm about to go under. Hopefully I'll be able to capture some of the sounds here. That's it right there. That's the sound you're looking for. Anyways, hope you enjoyed it. Again, please feel free to leave any comments below. Ask me anything you want and I'll be happy to answer. Take care and we'll see you soon.